All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Winning Fist Bumps. I'm Brandon Lee, and I get to hang out on these Fridays with my partner, Daniel Willems.
Hey,
Daniel,
good to
how
see
you
you guys.
doing?
I guess it's not good to see you guys. Good to be seen, I guess.
Good to be seen.
But we want to see you in the
Yeah,
comments for sure.
that's right. That's right. Well, before we introduce Butch and we start talking about LinkedIn, I want to tell everybody, hey, if you're with us, we know it's Friday before Christmas weekend, and who knows who's on LinkedIn this today. But if you're in there, I'd love to know who you are, where you're at, what's your company's name, all that fun stuff, and invite you to join the conversation. We bring your comments up on screen, and we engage with them. And so, yeah, ask questions, join it. So, Daniel, what's going on with you today?
Um, Not a whole lot. I've had a crazy week. We've got some stuff to share next week. Some things we're launching. So I've been like
Yeah,
neck deep in I call it my coding cave. So
you are in coding cave.
I'm excited to share it, but yeah. So I'm kind of tired this week, but I'm going to
Yeah.
bring the energy, bring in the juice.
Bring the energy. Yeah. So we've got some really cool things coming with our AIQ and DT, which is our AIIQ platform for companies and our digital twin platform for individuals and the outputs that it creates for not just social, but other things. So, but that we're going to talk about AI throughout here and there, but we're going to start by welcoming Butch onto the show today. Butch Nicholson has become a good friend of mine over the last several years, and he is on board with us with Fist Bump as well. He's working with us. He's invested in us, and what I'm excited to talk about today is Butch. You've got over a 40-year career, successful career in sales, and I wanted to really talk about LinkedIn, AI, selling, modern selling from a baby boomer's perspective. So, Butch, welcome to Winning Fist Bumps.
Thanks, Brandon. Thanks, Daniel. Glad to be here.
Thanks for coming on for sure.
Butch, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about you and your career in sales?
I started, my sales career really started very young. And then in college, I was always selling something to make money, just to have a little extra cash here and there.
Hmm.
And I went into the financial services business, spent 21 years there. Then I went into the training and consulting for financial advisors. Wrote a book in 2006, I guess, called Change Sucks, Get Over It. Uh,
That's awesome.
You should probably revise that and republish it in 2024.
after the crash in 2007, I was going to write a book called Change Sucks, and I found out how bad. But for a lot of people my age, when the crash in 2007 changed what we do. I did not plan on being working in 2024. I planned on having been retired for a while, but the crash in 2007 changed all that.
Mhm.
I spent some time working with a friend of mine in the hardscapes business, and then I had the opportunity to come to work with you guys. Was really excited about what you were doing, how you were doing it, and have really enjoyed my time here.
Very cool. Well, Butch, thank you for that. And it's been awesome getting to know you. And I want to jump right into it, though, because what I love about your story is what I hate about it for you and baby boomers is you've gone through a couple big financial crises, you've gone through this big global pandemic, and there are more and more baby boomers, especially in sales, who aren't able to retire when they thought they were going to, and they're still selling. And so I want to talk about your history with LinkedIn, and then I want to get to your modern times and with AI, because I believe that LinkedIn scares the crap out of a lot of people, not just baby boomers. AI scaring the crap out of a lot of people, not just baby boomers. But I think there's still a lot of baby boomers out there that honestly are looking up right now and going, "What do I do?" So when did you first get on LinkedIn, and what was your experience with LinkedIn back then?
let me get off script just for a second. I have to respond to Bob's comment in the chat. Yeah, Bob, I had a pocket full of quarters and knew where all the payphones were. Those,
Yes.
I remember those two.
Yeah. And aloha, Bob. Thanks for joining us as always.
I remember when pagers were a major breakthrough in technology. No, my experience with LinkedIn, I don't even know when, but early on when LinkedIn came out, to me, I always thought if a company didn't have a website, it wasn't a real company when companies started getting websites.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt the same way about LinkedIn. I looked at LinkedIn as if you're not on it, you're not credible and not much past that. And really didn't do anything with it. Connections I had were probably all friends that reached out to me, and the once every month or 6 weeks that I would look at LinkedIn for some reason, I would connect with them.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know that I ever did any outreach on LinkedIn. And in fact, when I came to work with you guys, my LinkedIn page was 3 jobs old.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't even use it for resume purposes. I didn't use it, period.
Yeah, and I would say I really appreciated working with you and learning from you, because I had a similar experience, I think, to what you did. We're in a little bit of different age bracket, but I definitely have had those same experiences. I use LinkedIn in the same way. It was my resume. I didn't keep it up to date. I really only connected with people that I had worked with. I kind of thought that's what your connections were like, these are connections you were working with at the same company. That's when I started doing it. So I had a very similar experience to what you've had as well when it came to LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I think
Butch,
most people had that experience.
Yeah. And what I'd like to do is let's jump into the meat. We kind of laid the foundation. We get it. Hey, you're a baby boomer, like most people. You signed up for LinkedIn and then you forgot about it. And then as you were looking over the last couple of years, saying, "Hey, I've got to put in a good 5 more years of work," and you go back into selling. What was your experience with selling prior to really engaging LinkedIn the way you do today?
My experience has been that people buy for the same reasons. People buy and people buy from for the same reasons they did 40 years ago. And I believe I intuitively knew this before I knew it. But I always believed that people bought from people that they liked and trusted. Know, like, and trust. I mean, you hear it all the time now, but I figured that out about 40 years ago. One of the things, I was lucky during COVID, I was in the hardscapes business and we were able to work. So because we're outside, and so our business wasn't affected. So I didn't realize that how much the way you communicated with people changed during COVID, really till I came to work with you guys. And I was like, holy crap, what do I do? Because my whole career was based on face-to-face meetings, and it was based on taking people to play golf and having lunch and taking them to plays and wherever they wanted to go. And I built great relationships that way. But I realized that after COVID, you couldn't do it during COVID, so people had to change, and the way people communicate changed. The other thing that I believe affected that is, and this was a hard thing for me to get in my head when I started working with you guys, is the people that I sold were all my age or close, maybe 10 years younger, 10 years older. And the buyers today are not my age. The buyers today are my daughter's age. And the way people that age communicate is just different than how we communicate. One of the things I know, if I call my daughter, unless I say, this is a family emergency, you got to call me, there's no chance she's calling me back. If I text her, there's a pretty good chance she'll get back to me. And we just have to accept or a large part of the buyers now are our kids' age. And one of the things I've always believed is we have to meet buyers where they are, not where we wish they were.
So,
and where they are now is on social platforms.
Sure, that makes sense. So, question for that though. So, does that just mean you come on LinkedIn and say, since they're all here, you just come on and be like, "Hey, I'm over here," and you post about what you are selling, like what? Because you talked about networking and that you used to do networking and met with people and took them out to lunch, and now we're talking about LinkedIn, and a lot of people that look at LinkedIn, they say it's for posting. You post about your job updates and all of this. So you're telling us get on LinkedIn. So what does that mean tangibly for baby boomers? Like, what are they supposed to be doing?
I believe that if we go back to the know, like, and trust, the first part is know. So the first thing you can use LinkedIn for is one, you can find who your ideal prospects are. Mm-hmm. And then you need to start building a relationship with them. Early on in my career, it might be, let's have lunch, let's go play golf. Well, we're not doing that anymore, but having lunch, playing golf, whatever it was, you got to know the person. So I think the first thing you need to do, the first thing I've been doing that has been successful is posting things on LinkedIn that are valuable to them, posting content that my prospects can say, hey, this guy's giving us good stuff. Maybe somebody that we need to talk to. To me, nothing's worse on LinkedIn. I mean, my one real pet peeve on LinkedIn is somebody says, let's connect. And if you do, like 15 minutes later, you get here's my calendar. When can I give you a pitch?
Yeah.
And I always like Brandon calls them pitch slaps. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what they are. I always want to text back, why would I talk to you? I don't even know who you are.
Yep. I've seen that same thing, especially with people trying to sell development services, especially in my role, whether it's, an agency or a recruiter or something like that. And I get that same motion from what used to be cold emails to now those cold DMs. And I make the mistake of connecting with them. And then it's here's what we do. 3 days later, it's I don't know if you saw this, here's what I do. And then a third, hey, I can stop bothering you. This is my last one. And it's like, you probably should have just done that at the first one. Like, and I want to address that and say, we are offering a service that helps you actually have this, warm lead, warm connection. And so maybe that's a better sales approach. I should start DMing them back and trying to tell them, hey, here's a better approach.
Yeah, the only thing I've tried that. I mean, look, I hate to say it, and I've had people kind of scold me like, "Well, no, they're young, they don't know better. Help them." And all. It's like, you know what? They don't want to know a difference because they're looking for the easy button. So what I do just to save myself a headache is I reply with the vomit emoji.
Wow!
Because when you reply, it turns off their automation. And so it saves me from having to delete their second, third, fourth, and 12th message of, hey, just bumping this to the top. But we do digress a little bit. So Butch, tell us about how you use LinkedIn now, and what has that journey been like for you to evolve into using it that way?
Wow. Well, the journey has taken a while. And I was early on, I was probably jumping ahead of myself too fast. And one of the things that I know in sales is, selling the way I want to sell, the way that I enjoy to sell and has been successful for me, you've got to build a relationship. And building a relationship requires two things. One, you've got to show that you know what you're talking about for the service you're selling, but they need to know who you are. And what I've learned to do is to have a combination of content on LinkedIn. Part of it is to show expertise, to show them who I am business wise, but also to share some personal stuff. back in the day when you actually went to networking meetings, you didn't, if you saw like a group of people, you didn't go up and say, hey, does anybody need the widget I sell?
Mhm.
Right off the bat.
Right.
You know, where are you from? What do you do? What do you like to do? And it's different on LinkedIn, but we can still communicate things about ourselves that way. You know, I share that I have grandkids. I share that I love to play golf. You know,
You share that you have an awesome head of hair.
well, they can see that.
Yeah,
Well, as long as you post the selfies, you got to post the selfies.
that's
I don't see
right.
enough of
More
those.
selfies. You know,
Well, and
Butch, can I pause? Can I pause that for a second though? Because I think that's so important, and we miss it a lot of times because when we think about LinkedIn, we think about talking at people. We don't think of talking with people, and we don't think of that in what we've done. And Bob was saying is that we process information, or we sell the same way we did 4,000 years ago, from that know, like, and trust. We never walk up to somebody on the streets or in a networking event, anything face to face. We never walk up right up to them and go, I got this product and I think you should buy it. And the reason we don't do it is because it doesn't freaking work and it annoys people. And yet, some reason we get behind these screens and we go do LinkedIn, and all of a sudden there's this like freedom of going, let's go do this. And the belief is it's a numbers game. Well, if you just do it with enough people, you'll get enough people that say yes. And so it's a very natural motion, I think, for people to do on LinkedIn because it is an easy button, but it's a very unnatural motion for people to do in real life. And at the end of the day, they're still human beings on the other side with blood in their veins and hearts pumping, and they act like human beings will act when somebody around them does something annoying.
yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so Bob said, we still think and process information in our heads like Julius Caesar. So my question to you is, how do you cross the Rubicon? And no,
I thought you were going to ask
ancient Roman.
What was Julius Caesar like? I was like, Daniel, that's rude, dude.
I was going for across the Rubicon. No one's been watching ancient Roman history here. But
Hey, I'm old, but I'm not that old.
But no, seriously, how do you get them to what's the first step to go from being skeptical to doing something? Is there any sort of like easy first wins? Because the pushback we might get a lot of times with anything new is how quickly is that going to turn into something?
I'll give you an example, and it addresses what we were talking. It answers your question and addresses something we were just talking about. I made the decision that I was going to start when I had people I wanted to connect with, that I was going to start reaching out with personal stuff first. And I believe the real secret to starting in social activities, because it's the easiest thing to do, is, and I think it's something that a lot of people don't know about and don't use, is to comment on comments.
Hmm.
And we always think we got to do these posts, and everybody's scared to do some, big long post like Brandon can do. There was a CEO I wanted to connect with, and I saw a picture that he posted, and he had hit a golf ball about an inch from the hole, and he took a picture of him and the three guys he was playing with and said, "This is the closest I've ever come to a hole in one." Well, I recognized the golf hole he was on.
Oh,
and I texted him back and said, "Number 4 at the Atlanta Athletic Club. I've never made a hole in one."
Did you comment or did you text?
I said text. I commented on his picture. Thank you. I commented on his picture. Oh, that's number 4 at the Atlanta Athletic Club. I've never made a hole in one on that hole either. And he texted me back and said something like, commented back, text. Think about my daughter. And then shortly thereafter, he had a post of a picture of his daughter getting married. And I had just seen a little a picture, not a cartoon, but a caricature of a man and a little girl holding hands. And it said, "Nobody loves their daughter more than their father." and I just sent that in a comment on his picture, and I got a connection request from him that day.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And it never shared anything about what I do. So
Yeah.
that's the way I would suggest to anybody they start.
Now, did you, with that one, and maybe you didn't, but with that one, once the connection request came in and you accepted it, did you ask for a call to get to know each other, or was it he just not the right profile to do that, or what did you do, or what could you have done at that point?
Actually, I did reach out and say, hey, you know, you're a golfer and I'm a golfer. You got a daughter, I got a daughter. I'd love to just talk to you. And we talked, and it wasn't a good fit.
Mm-hmm.
But I got a new friend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
you never know when it might be a good fit.
That's the key right there, because it does take us back to the way we sold before the internet, if you will, and it was all about who you knew. It was all about networking, and you never know when you'll get a referral, or you never know in 2 months time, 3 months time, a year time, they ping you and you go, hey, do you still do that? Because we need that internally.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. That's all pipeline building activity.
Or vice versa. You know, you help someone else out and they build a strong connection that way by giving.
Absolutely. So we've got some fun comments in there that we just got to show. Like, I love Zach's. Well, first of all, I think, well, that's fine. I think Zach was referring to the pitch slap and keeping our Julius Caesar thing going. I love it. Wanted to do a Brutus on them. And then Robert just went straight for the jugular. Yeah, and I think that's the easy button there with this. Humans often suck, though.
Mm-hmm.
They go through what they think is the easy. Well, not think. It's the easy button for them. But how many hundreds of people it annoys because we're getting cold messages that we need to spend our time to go and delete, especially when then you put them on automation and now you got 3, 4, 10 of those coming in. And now I got to go delete it 10 times. And that's where everybody, the best, advice you'll get today, just reply with an emoji. Doesn't have to be the vomit emoji, but you reply with an emoji and it'll shut down their automation.
And this might be a good time to say AI. We haven't said AI yet at all, and we're 23 minutes in, but
look at that.
Yeah. So how does that work for you, Butch? I mean, I just read recently or heard a study that I think about 17% of baby boomers in the working class or the business world are using AI in their day-to-day in some way. So is that something you've used at all? Is that something that you're looking at using? How do you feel about AI and social selling and what you're doing?
I love AI. I realized, and working with you guys is part of the reason that I realized this, and that's probably an advantage over what most people have. But I realized early on in AI that I was going to have to adapt to AI. Mm-hmm. And, it was I think it was last year. It was like 1 month, there was like this little murmur in business that AI was going to change things. And 6 months later, it changed everything. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was really fast. And I know that I can create better content, not just taking AI for what it is, but doing my research with AI for the content I want to provide. Mm-hmm. And that's the main way I use AI.
That's really cool. I actually built a tool this morning. I haven't showed you guys yet, but it's a template creator from LinkedIn posts. And so a lot of the AI content you're seeing is just AI generated from ChatGPT. So someone goes in and says, give me a LinkedIn post about, make it go viral. And I want to be an influential person in LinkedIn and blah, blah, blah. And it spits out a bunch of garbage. But you mentioned something just earlier that you said, I can't write these posts like Brandon writes or these people that are writing great posts on LinkedIn. But what this GPT does, this AI does, is you give it a LinkedIn post and then it will give you back a template. So a template could be a hook, a story post, something like that. and then you give it your own story from your own voice, something you answered. It might have just been, I'm talking into a microphone, talking about how I feel about this answer. And then it says, marry this template with my answer. And now you've got a post that looks good. The layout's good. But it was your words and your thoughts. So I mean, I just kind of wanted to plug that a little bit since it was a fun thing I played around with this morning. But I think it's a cool way to use AI to make your personal story come out on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Daniel, let me correct you about one thing. You said you said that I said I couldn't write posts like Brandon. I said most people can. I can write posts like Brandon.
I got you. Sorry, my bad.
I like that correction. Get that out there. And again, what I love about what you guys just talked through is Daniel, who loves researching AI, coding. I mean, obviously that's his role on our company, but he gets to go and he builds these really cool easy buttons. I know I knocked the easy button in some with automation, but he's building tools inside of Fistbump that, as long as Butch, as a baby boomer, has an open mind to it and doesn't just go, oh no, we don't do AI, AI's bad, da 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 da. Butch is actually very empowered now with AI helping him be more efficient and more effective because Daniel's building it and then Butch is able to use the fruit of that inside. But I believe it's only because you have the mindset of using LinkedIn as a networking tool that equips you to actually do that or empowers you to take advantage of that. That fair to say?
That's fair to say. And let me say this to any baby boomer or anybody that's scared of AI. And I can remember exactly this day. I thought AI is going to be something. I don't know anything about it. I got to find something. I just went to YouTube and clicked the first thing about ChatGPT and started listening and started trying it and screwed it up for a couple of weeks, really. And then I got it figured out. And I believe AI can work different for different people, but you got to figure out how it works for you. I know how it works for me, and I try to stay in that lane that I know how it works for me and try to learn something new, every week.
Yeah. Sure. I want to, Dave Tegmeyer, who's a good friend, and I want to, if you can pull up his comment there about AI gives a framework to get started. I want to address that because we're moving so quick with AI that couple months ago, I would have agreed 100% with that. I think now, especially with what we're seeing internally, with what Daniel and the team is building on the digital twin, I'm not saying the output is perfect, and I'm not saying you shouldn't review it as a human. But several months ago, I would say, yeah, AI was it was good to get started. Like it would write a first draft. I think now with what we have with our digital twins, and clicking twin it and rewriting it in our voice, I want to say I'm 80% plus of the way where I would like my post to be. Mm-hmm. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, I agree. I'm really happy with the output. I mean, it's one of those things where I said, if you come into AI and ask it, you don't give it good information, you don't set it up well, you're going to get bad output. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to just be spending a ton of time rewriting it as you need to. And you'll spend just as long as if you had just sat down and wrote it yourself, honestly. But if you come into it with good framework, good prompts, someone either helping you with that or doing the research yourself, which does take a lot of time, the results are excellent. I mean, it still takes the effort to do the layout technically, but then putting yourself into it is important. Mm-hmm. Even with the technical research and the good prompting, it's not going to be you. 1,000 other people could do the same thing you're doing, and then your feed's going to be full of the same influencer posts from the same prompt book that people are putting out there on LinkedIn. So you need to put yourself into it somehow, mm-hmm. or it's not going to be you.
Yeah, I think what Daniel said is exactly right. You used to hear about computers, garbage in, garbage out. Mm-hmm. And I think with AI, it's the same way, garbage in, garbage out. And I know one problem that I have, or not, it's not a problem, it's a challenge that I have that all salespeople have, is we want to be selling. And sometimes we don't take the time to prepare the way we need to prepare, or we don't take time to, in this case, train our tools to use the tools the way that would actually save us time.
Mm-hmm.
So an important part of AI, and the twin feature really helps with that, is ultimately the time you'll save up front if you spend the time, obviously the time you'll save down the road if you take time up front to do it right.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
In the mindset behind that, I believe for me has always been there. I mean, what are those expressions of, for every minute of preparation, you save yourself X amount of time of perspiration.
Sure.
I think with AI, the cool thing is that it accelerates that. So like the tools, Daniel, that you're building in AIQ with some of these comparison or these analysis reports that our AIQ provides, that as a salesperson, I could go in and now look and tell our AIQ, this is the prospect I'm speaking to. This is their company. Here's their URL. This is the competitor that I'm competing with. And that, if I did that, would take me days to do the research on my own. And now what we're looking at is kicking out reports in very quick time.
Right.
And so I actually have the time now to more fully prepare for conversations, to get talking points that are important from, the AI giving me talking points. It also then gives me things that, this is what I love. I can be posting in social that I'm speaking to this prospect. I'm speaking to this prospect in comparison to this competitor, and nobody knows that I'm doing that except for me, because I know I'm in these conversations or I'm in final stages with this prospect. What a way that I can separate myself from the competition. And then with that tool, it's not just me doing it, it's everybody on our team that can do that at the same time. That excites the heck out of me as a CEO, to think about how we amplify best practices and equip and empower people to be the best versions of themselves, and therefore go win more deals.
Yep. But what about for like SMBs that it still sounds like a lot of work? I mean, it'd be nice if there was like a concierge service or something that would support you in that, right?
Nicely done.
And teeing it up.
Speaking of golf and Butch's love and passion for golf, I think something just got teed up for Butch to knock out of the park. Hey, well, Bob, before Bob leaves, Bob, Merry Christmas. Thank you for always joining us. We got to get you on the show next year. Mm-hmm. And I do want to just acknowledge that too. What he's saying is this is a challenge, I think, for all of us. Is the speed of AI is moving so fast that we're not letting the tech marinate long enough to understand its benefits, but we're not letting it marinate long enough to understand some of the pitfalls as well. And I think that's probably one of the biggest concerns for anybody with technology right now, and how it's going to affect people.
You need a partner that's helping you with that, for sure.
Yeah.
If that's the case for you.
So let's go back to that, because obviously that was that's a big conversation for us. But, and Daniel, go ahead and speak to it from fist bump, but not from, hey, here's our product, come buy our stuff, but why are we building this? I think is what's so important.
I mean, we're building it for a lot of people, for what one of the things we just talked about, building tools that people can use on their own. You could call them easy buttons. It takes some work to create these easy buttons. It's not just, we're handing these out because we haven't put a lot of work into them. So we're putting in work into these easy buttons for you. But then on top of that, sometimes the results are still not. We were just having this conversation in team meeting yesterday. It's like, usually when you're building software, you're putting something in and you're expecting something out. It's very set in your input and output.
Very linear.
Yeah, right. And so with AI, it's not. Even if you've got everything in place, the results aren't always going to be what you expect. They call it hallucinations in AI. And so sometimes your easy button isn't going to give you the results you want. But if you've got that human layer, So whether that human layer is on your team or you've decided to team with us, and we have these concierge that can help you with, you ask for some sort of output, whether it's these list of, reports, and then our team can make that, put those final touches on it to get you what you need. So there's really depends on your level of expertise, your level of AI, your knowledge of AI, whether you need a little bit of a helping hand or you can do that internally, and understand that when you ask for something, it might not be 100% perfect because AI is just not 100% perfect yet. Might never be.
Yeah, for sure. So Butch, what other baby boomers or older salespeople looking at LinkedIn, what's your encouragement? What's your message to them?
My message to them would be people still buy for the same reason they bought when you started in sales. People want to buy from someone they know, like, and trust. And you know how to do that.
Mhm.
You just have to now take what's available. Now you have to take the platform that's available to do it on.
Yeah.
Phone calls, emails, all that kind of stuff just doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
I believe if you start with LinkedIn, number one, you can find who your ideal prospects are, whether you know them or not. It's a great way to connect. Be human, just the way you were when you were sitting face to face with somebody, so that they get to know you. And don't be afraid. That was the biggest challenge for me. I remember I was scared to death the first time I posted something. What are people going to think? Well, the truth of the matter is we're not all that damn important, and people don't really think a whole lot. What they're going to be moved by is the connection that you can create by what you've done, who you are, and what you do.
And how you think.
How you think.
Right? How you think. Absolutely. What do you believe? What do you feel? I think that's what I love about that. And Butch, you and I have had lots of conversations about this, and I see Zach on here too. And Zach and I had a conversation the other day, and we're talking about going meta, and not Meta, the Facebook company, but going meta. I remember learning this in grad school, and it kind of changed my life. It's going deeper. Like, let's analyze the analysis, and not to be totally nerdy. Daniel, it's my turn to go nerdy, but we got to think about not just what we say, but why it's important. And that's where I think getting that with the how you feel or what you observe or what are you thinking. And here's the practical example. We always love to give little practical gold nuggets on our shows. So I was talking with someone yesterday about social content and this framework of it's still about being known and liked and trusted, right? He was older. He's older, in 50s. We talked about know, like, and trust and how important it is. And then how do we apply that into social? And I said, well, let me, I asked some questions about what he did the last couple of days. It's like, oh, well, I took a walk with my dog. And I said, oh, cool. Where'd you go? Oh, I went down to this trail. And I'm like, oh, very cool. And I said, what'd you think about? And he was like, well, I was actually thinking about this in business and that in business. And I said, okay, I'm going to pause you. So here's the way we translate that into social. I want a picture of you walking your dog, because people all have dogs. Not everybody, but a lot of people have dogs. They're going to be drawn when they see the picture of the dog. You walking it tells a little bit about who you are. We go back to the know, like, and trust. You're in a trail setting, so you're not on the street. You're in a trail. That starts to communicate with us. And then you say something like, in walking with his dog's name, I was thinking about this, and you start sharing what you're thinking about in your business and why it's important to you.
Wow.
That, when I'm trying to capture for people, is how we go a little bit deeper and we start to share who we are, because that's where people will know, like, and trust us. But it's not self-promotion. It's idea promotion. But we got to strategize it, because we're still human beings, and we're going to go, dude, that dog's beautiful, or oh, I have a golden lab too,
Mhm.
or they're going to come for some human reason that their heart is connected to. But then when you start talking about what you think, what you feel, what you're observing, that's where they go, huh, and they start to assign thought leadership expertise to you,
Mhm.
and they go, I want to know this person. And that's where we create opportunities for sales. And I got nerdy there, but does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a really good story.
I
Good.
believe with content, uh, there are a lot of things people don't care about, but there are things they care about a lot. And I believe with your content, whatever your content is, uh, it needs to eat. It needs to be encouraging, insightful, or educational. You know, I'm not. I wish I was the smartest guy in the room all the time, but I do want to talk to the smartest guy in the room. And I believe there are people on LinkedIn trying to find the smartest guy in the room, and it might well be you
Mhm.
if
Mhm.
you're sharing the proper kind of information.
In a certain subject, for sure.
Yeah.
I do.
And I
I do
think
want
like,
to add
go
one
ahead,
thing.
Daniel.
Like, you corrected me, Butch, so I get to correct you. No kidding. So you said, don't. I can't remember the exact wording, but something along the lines of "don't be afraid" or "don't have fear." And I think the big thing is courage is doing something when there is fear, right? So it's not having
Yeah.
the fear; it's overcoming it. So I think that like the big thing for me that I would say to anyone, any age bracket, is like get out of your comfort zone. I've noticed a huge difference for me this year when I think I don't want to put too much weight into it, but I think a large portion of it was getting out here, putting myself out here, doing things I'm not comfortable with, like this show, like posting, like even at the beginning, like commenting. Commenting was uncomfortable for me, but it's just like something I do when I'm walking. I'm like, oh, I want to comment on that. I don't even think about it there's no fear there anymore for me, but that's because I've continued to push myself. So I would say that's the big thing is like, it's okay to have fear. That's part of like knowing that you're growing is stepping into something and it being fearful. So anyway, that was my thought.
Good
I
thoughts.
spend about 80% of my time in fear. So
That's good.
Yeah.
you can't learn something new without trying it.
Sure. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, those are good words. So, hey, I say we wrap up. Nora, thank you for keeping us on track and always being awesome with us. Robert and Bob and Dave and Zach, and hopefully I didn't miss anybody else who was there today. Thanks for joining us on a Friday before Christmas weekend. We really appreciate it. Butch, somebody's listening. What's the best way for them to find you?
LinkedIn's probably the best way to find me.
Yep.
It's Butch Nicholson with Fist Bump.
Awesome. Thanks for coming. We enjoyed it.
Daniel, you want to wrap us up? Like what's important? How do we wrap that up? Because I think today was really awesome. And I think it's a topic that is really, really necessary because I believe as we talk about fear, there's a lot of older people out there in sales who are just scared right now. And the alternative is going to be, I'm going to go work at Home Depot or Walmart or something like that because I can't figure out how to apply the skills that I've created over 40 years and be successful in sales today.
Yeah, wow, that's a lot to try to summarize in, but I would say it's just getting out there and trying things, trying different things, getting to know new people, and that's the big part of getting out here and networking is you're going to see how other people are posting, how other people are commenting, and just asking to get on a meeting. I mean, that's kind of the big hurdle for me to get over. I was always nervous to say, do you want to get on a call? Because I thought they were trying to sell or I was trying to sell to them. But I've had dozens of calls this year just to get to know people. So just get out there, get to know people. And the more you do that, the easier it gets. And try new tools, try AI, try social selling. Definitely should try Fist Bump. I mean, it'll change your life. But we've got some cool stuff coming in the next week or two, and we'll definitely be sharing them with you as the year goes on. So
Yeah.
have a great